Steve, what would your suggestions be in terms of equipment selection, program design for someone who's just starting to implement a high school strength and conditioning program?
Yeah, I think the first great piece of equipment to use is your own body weight.
Yeah.
I think that's what I teach my younger kids in the summer programs,
Yeah.
and the kids who come in, and use your body weight, own it. Lunges, squats, push-ups, squat jumps, all those things you can do with your own body weight.
Mm-hmm. And there are some exceptions there too when you have the the individual that's overweight, or,
Yep.
bordering on obesity.
You gotta be careful.
That's real tough.
Yep.
Make modifications.
Oh, definitely. And so, I think just teaching them that, but then the next thing, I'm a big believer of free weights. I always have been. I'm maybe old school in some ways, but I think the big thing I always teach kids is learn how to move properly first, really get those movement patterns to work well, and then load that pattern. We're not a big believer of 1 rep max testing. When I finally get kids who I feel are doing things the right way, doing it with good form and good technique, we'll find out what their 5 rep max is, and we do 1 rep max conversions, just because I just think it's safer with a high school athlete.
Yeah, you're dealing with a high school athlete. Right?
And so then we just work off percentages and do pretty much regular periodization schemes from there. And again, depends on if they're in season or off season, will depend on what kind of loading that they're doing that week. But again, I like the Olympic lifts. A lot of coaches, I was just down at a seminar 2 weeks ago and we're talking about Olympic lifts, and a lot of coaches tend to shy away from them because they are time consuming, they're technical, but I think that if you can teach a kid to do things like cleans and snatches and do them right and properly, the kid is going to be developing better movement patterns. Things are going to be stronger, things are going to be more stable. So I'm a big believer of the Olympic lifts, and little things that I throw in that I find: kettlebells, battle ropes, those some extra accessory things that I have. But I still think I go back to the old school free weights. I think that's my best way, my best piece of equipment when I train kids.
That's great. Speaking of that, in terms of incorporating the Olympic lifts and the power lifts, you and I know each other very well, and you were over at BC High for a good number of years while I was the strength and conditioning coach, and you were the head athletic trainer and assistant to me in my summer program. And I like to hear that from you. That you're a great supporter of the Olympic and power lifts, because I truly believe that they're foundational as well. I call them foundational. And I have heard the argument from a lot of different people that they're too technical, they're highly technical, they're too hard to teach, and I just disagree with it. I think that particularly the younger you start with athletes, and you don't start with 45-pound Olympic bars and weights. You start with PVC piping and things like that, like you said, to master the technique. And you know that I'm a big believer in during the times where you change over from fall season to winter season and winter to spring season. I like to have in our weight room, I'd like to have had in our weight room whole clinics for the athlete, so they give the athlete an opportunity, because they're out of season, they're not in a particular season, tryouts on until fall next week, for them to come in and either review the Olympic lifts, the clean and the snatch and the variations of them, or if they're younger, if they're freshmen, sophomores, to learn them, give them an opportunity to learn the Olympic and power lifts. So. And I know you support
I agree totally to that. Even just yesterday was our first day of the summer program, and we did power clean progressions. We went back to the basics. Whether you were a level 3 athlete or a new guy to the program, everybody started with just a bar and some light weight, and we just went back to reviewing all the different technical movement patterns when it comes to the clean. And then with some of our older kids, we put a little weight on, just have them pump up a couple sets just to get a good workout in. But every time before every session, whether it's in the school year or in the summer, we go back to basics, and it's a good refresher for the kids.
Do you ever get like the objection from, say, you said a level 3 athlete, and a more experienced athlete, I've already done this stuff. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think that you see it in their face sometimes,
Yeah.
but I think the more that we talk about it, and the more that we pick out that they're not perfect at it.
Right.
I have some very good technical coaches in the summertime that will take the kid who looks like he's awesome and find something that he's doing wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, is the kids want to hear the feedback.
Always improving.
Yeah,
always striving.
always getting better. And if you tell athletes that they're doing something wrong, or not doing it the right way, or not doing getting the full benefit out of it, they'll listen, because they're competitive. And so I think that helps too. If you were just kind of like saying, yeah, just go with it, but if you were watching them and making, hey, your shoulder's not in the right position, or you're not pulling at the right time, they'll listen, and they'll see the benefits.
Yeah.
Because what will happen is, once you start putting on the weight, then the technique starts to falter, and you say, okay, let's see how your technique's starting to falter right now. Let's go back, let's deload a little bit, let's review a little bit more, and then we'll come back.
And that's one thing too I want to mention, that because I've observed you and your coaching staff coaching these athletes, is that when you do make corrections, or when you do critique an athlete, it's always from a standpoint of let's look at how we can improve this. You're doing great, you're doing well, but it's not demeaning. It's not you're not doing it correctly. It's how can we improve your lifts. And,
yeah, you don't want to disappoint them and
Yeah.
have them lose their confidence. And so you want to be positive, but you also want to be honest. And so balancing that as a coach can be a little bit of a challenge. But you learn, and that's the thing, you learn different kids, different personalities,
Exactly.
of
Yeah.
who can take certain criticism, who you have to be kind of careful with. You don't want to rock the boat too much, I guess, at times.
Great, excellent.